The desperate plea, the Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council, stretched across 3 kilometers of polished crystal floors, its dome reaching toward the artificial stars that lit the space station. Representatives from over 300 species gathered in their designated sections, each area carefully designed to accommodate different atmospheric and gravitational needs. The air hummed with translation devices working overtime to convert thousands of different languages into comprehensible communication. At the center of this vast chamber stood a single figure that commanded everyone's attention. Ambassador Lyrian, boss of the ethereal collective, appeared almost ghost-like, her translucent body shimmering with internal light that pulsed in rhythm with her emotions. Today, those pulses were erratic, desperate, painting her crystalline form in deep shades of crimson and gold that every species present recognized as distress signals. Honored delegates of the Galactic Council, Lyrian began, her voice carrying the musical quality that made ethereal communication so beautiful and haunting. I stand before you not as a representative seeking trade agreements or cultural exchanges, but as a messenger bearing news of my people's impending doom. The massive display screens around the chamber flickered to life, showing the breathtaking beauty of Lumina Prime, the ethereal homeworld. Floating cities of living crystal dotted the planet's surface, connected by bridges of pure light. Gardens of geometric plants grew in perfect mathematical patterns, and beings of living energy danced through the air in celebrations that had continued for millennia. Then the images changed. The same cities now burned with unnatural fire. The crystal structures lay shattered across scarred landscapes. Bodies of ethereals flickered weakly before going dark forever, their life essence scattered to the cosmic winds. Orbital defense platforms drifted as lifeless hulks, their surfaces scarred by weapon impacts that defied conventional physics. For 67 standard days, the Korthak Empire has maintained a total blockade of our system, Lyrian continued, her internal light dimming with each word. Their demands are simple and absolute. Complete surrender of our population for use in their bioenhancement programs, transfer of all our crystalline technology, and the dismantling of our civilization. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. The Korthak Empire had been expanding aggressively for over 2 centuries, but their reputation for brutality had always been balanced by their adherence to certain galactic conventions. This level of systematic destruction shocked even the most warlike species present. High Chancellor Zorath, a massive creature resembling a cross between an octopus and a tree, with bark-like skin and 8 tentacle arms ending in delicate manipulator, Boz raised his staff. The chamber fell silent immediately. Ambassador Voss, the Council acknowledges the severity of your situation. However, our charter is clear regarding military intervention in sovereign conflicts. Without evidence of violations against multiple member species or direct threats to Council space, we cannot authorize collective action. We have followed every protocol. Lyrian's voice took on a pleading tone that touched hearts across species barriers. We offered technological exchanges, territorial concessions, even voluntary relocation of our population to less contested worlds. The Korthak response was to accelerate their timetable. We have 14 standard hours before they begin systematic extermination of our population centers. The chamber erupted in discussions, delegates conferring in huddles of various sizes and compositions. Some expressed sympathy. Others pointed to the dangers of setting precedents that could lead to the Council being drawn into every territorial conflict in the galaxy. The ethereals knew the risks when they settled in contested space, declared Representative Quilmox of the Trade Federation, his metallic voice cutting through the noise. Their pacifist philosophy, while admirable, left them vulnerable. This is the natural consequence of refusing to develop adequate defenses. Adequate defenses? Lyrian's light flared brighter. We are artists, philosophers, and scientists. Our greatest weapons are crystalline gardens that sing mathematical equations and light sculptures that demonstrate the fundamental forces of the universe. We never wanted to become warriors. Then you should have aligned with a species capable of protecting you, Quilmox replied coldly. The galaxy does not owe you survival simply because your culture values beauty over strength. From the back of the chamber, a new voice cut through the debate. We'll help. Every head turned toward the human section. a relatively small area that had been added to the chamber only 15 years earlier, when Earth had achieved the technological benchmarks required for Council observation status. Standing at the edge of their designated space was Captain Jake Morrison, wearing the dark blue uniform of the Earth Defense Corps. At 38 years old, Morrison had the weathered look of someone who had seen combat, with graying temples and scars on his hands that spoke of hands-on military experience. Chancellor Zorith's tentacles writhed in irritation. "Captain Morrison, Earth holds only observer status in this council. You have no authority to commit your species to military action." Morrison stepped forward, his movements carrying the confident stride of someone accustomed to command. "Actually, Chancellor, I do. 3 days ago, the Earth Senate passed Emergency Resolution 2847, authorizing immediate military assistance to any Council-affiliated species facing genocide. The President signed it yesterday." The chamber fell into stunned silence. Earth was still considered a newcomer to galactic politics, having achieved faster-than-light travel only 23 years earlier. Most species viewed humans as curious oddities from a high-gravity death world, interesting for their adaptability, but hardly relevant to major galactic affairs. Representative Quilmox's voice dripped with condescension. "Captain, your enthusiasm is noted, but this is not a matter for novice civilizations. The Korthak fleet consists of 86 warships, including 12 Dreadnought-class vessels equipped with reality distortion weaponry. Earth operates what? Perhaps 20 interstellar-capable ships? 47 combat-ready vessels as of this morning," Morrison replied calmly, "including the new Trinity-class battleships that finished trials last month." A ripple of surprised conversation swept the chamber. Most species present weren't aware that Earth had expanded its fleet so rapidly, or that they had developed new ship classifications. Chancellor Zorith leaned forward, his massive form casting shadows across the chamber floor. "Captain Morrison, I must formally warn you that unauthorized military action violates numerous Council regulations. Earth could lose its observer status and face severe economic sanctions." "Noted, Chancellor." Morrison's expression didn't change. "Ambassador Voss, does the Ethereal Collective formally request Earth's military assistance?" Lyrian's light pulsed in patterns that translated as desperate hope. "The Ethereal Collective would be forever grateful for any aid Earth might provide. But Captain, you must understand what you're offering. The Korthak are not merely aggressive. They are enhanced beings who view warfare as an art form. Their commanders undergo genetic modification that increases reaction times, tactical processing, and physical capabilities beyond natural limits." Morrison nodded. "We've studied their combat doctrine. It's impressive." "Then you understand the impossibility of your situation," interjected Dr. Vex, the Council's chief military analyst, a spider-like being with 12 legs and compound eyes. "Human ships are built for durability rather than maneuverability. Your weapons technology, while ingenious, relies primarily on kinetic projectiles and nuclear devices. The Korthak employ energy manipulation on a quantum level." "Doctor, you're absolutely right about our limitations," Morrison agreed. "Our ships are slower than theirs. Our weapons are more primitive, and we're outnumbered nearly 2-to-1. From any conventional tactical perspective, we shouldn't even consider this engagement." "Then why do you persist in this folly?" demanded. Quilmox Morrison's smile was grim but determined. "Because conventional tactical perspectives assume conventional thinking. Humans don't just come from a death world, representatives. We come from a world that spent 4 billion years trying to kill us, and we not only survived, we thrived. We didn't evolve to accept impossible odds. We evolved to change the rules when the game is rigged against us." He activated a communicator on his wrist. "Admiral Patterson, this is Morrison. Execute Operation Guardian Angel. Full deployment to ethereal space. Maximum acceleration." "Confirmed, Captain," came the reply. "Fleet is launching now. ETA to Lumina Prime. 36 hours. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some delegates protested the humans' reckless action, others worried about the precedent being set, and a few quietly expressed admiration for humanity's bold decision. Chancellor Zorith struck his staff repeatedly against the floor, calling for order. Captain Morrison, the Council demands a full briefing on your intended tactics. Morrison was already moving toward the exit. You'll have it, Chancellor. After we save the ethereals. He paused at the chamber's threshold and looked back at Lyrian, whose internal light now pulsed with something that looked remarkably like hope. Ambassador, tell your people that help is coming. Earth keeps its promises. As the chamber doors closed behind the human captain, representatives from across the galaxy sat in stunned silence, wondering if they had just witnessed the beginning of humanity's rise to galactic prominence, or the first step toward their species' destruction. In the depths of space, 47 human warships emerged from their orbital positions around Earth, their engines burning bright as they accelerated toward a confrontation that would reshape the balance of power in the galaxy forever. The impossible mission. The bridge of the EDS Prometheus hummed with controlled tension as Captain Jake Morrison studied the tactical display showing the Lumina Prime system. 34 hours had passed since the fleet left Earth, and now they faced the reality of their situation. 86 Korthak vessels formed a perfect sphere around the ethereal homeworld, their dark hulls bristling with weapons that could reshape matter at the molecular level. Status report, Commander Torres, Morrison said to his tactical officer, a sharp-eyed woman whose reputation for strategic thinking had earned her rapid promotion through the Defense Corps ranks. Commander Lisa Torres manipulated the holographic display, highlighting enemy positions in red. The Korthak formation is textbook perfect, Captain. 3 concentric spheres of vessels, with the inner ring consisting of their reality distortion ships, middle ring housing their standard battlecruisers, and outer ring populated by fast attack vessels. They've left no gaps, no weak points that conventional tactics could exploit. Dr. Marcus Webb, the fleet's chief engineer, looked up from his sensor readings. At 52, Webb had spent his entire career pushing human technology beyond its theoretical limits. Their energy signatures are unlike anything in our databases. These reality distortion weapons literally rewrite the laws of physics in localized areas. Our armor might as well be tissue paper against that kind of firepower. Morrison nodded grimly. What about their weaknesses? That's the problem, sir, Torres replied. According to every tactical manual in the galaxy, they don't have any. The Korthak have been perfecting this formation for 2 centuries. It's been tested against every known military force and has never been broken. Every known military force except one, Morrison pointed out. They've never faced humans in actual combat. Through the main view screen, the distant glow of Lumina Prime was visible, its crystalline cities flickering weakly like dying stars. Occasional flashes marked where Korthak bombardment continued to rain down on ethereal population centers. Morrison's jaw tightened as he watched an entire floating city wink out of existence. Captain, Communications Officer Lieutenant Davis, called out, "We're receiving a transmission from the Korthak flagship. Put it through." The view screen shifted to show a figure that epitomized the Korthak ideal of military perfection. General Krath Venom stood nearly 3 meters tall, his body a fusion of biological evolution and technological enhancement. Metallic implants covered half his face, one eye replaced by a glowing sensor array, and his arms ended in articulated claws, capable of rending steel. When he spoke, his voice carried the synthesized harmony of organic vocal cords merged with electronic modulators. I am General Krath Venom, Supreme Commander of the 47th Extermination Fleet. You will identify yourself and state your business in Korthak territorial space. Morrison stepped forward, his posture relaxed but alert. Captain Jake Morrison, Earth. Defense Corps. We're here to evacuate ethereal civilians under the Galactic Refugee Protection Accords. Krath's mechanical eye whirred as it focused on Morrison. Earth, the primitive Deathworlders who achieved spaceflight mere decades ago. Your reputation for stubborn ignorance precedes you, Captain. This system is under Korthak military control. You will withdraw immediately or be destroyed. Can't do that, General. We have a job to finish. The Korthak commander's organic eye narrowed while his mechanical one continued its mechanical analysis. Fascinating. You command 47 vessels. Against my 86, you possess inferior technology, and you operate in unfamiliar space. Yet you display no fear. Are humans simply incapable of comprehending mathematics? Morrison smiled. Oh, we understand the math, General. We just don't think math tells the whole story. Then allow me to educate you. Krath gestured with one clawed hand. Observe the futility of resistance. The Korthak outer ring ships opened fire on the human fleet with weapons that bent space itself around their targets. Energy beams that existed in 11 dimensions simultaneously struck human vessels, reality distorting around impact points as the laws of physics warped under impossible pressures. Evasive maneuvers, Torres shouted, but the human ships moved, too slowly to avoid the exotic attacks. The EDS Courage, a Trinity-class battleship, took a direct hit from a reality distortion cannon. For a moment, the ship seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once, its hull stretching and compressing as space-time bent around it. Then, impossibly, the ship stabilized and continued on course. Dr. Webb stared at his instruments in amazement. Captain, the Courage's quantum stabilization field held. The reality distortion couldn't maintain coherence against our gravitational anchoring system. Morrison's smile widened. General Krath, I believe you missed something in your tactical analysis. On the view screen, the Korthak commander's mechanical implants flickered with confusion. Impossible. Your vessels should have been rendered into quantum foam. See, that's where human engineering differs from everyone else's, Morrison explained conversationally, while his fleet continued to advance through the storm of exotic weapons fire. Most species design their ships to work within the known laws of physics. We design ours to work when those laws break down. Growing up on a planet where everything wants to kill you teaches you to plan for situations that shouldn't be possible. The human fleet pushed deeper into the Korthak formation, their quantum stabilization fields deflecting reality distortion attacks, while their kinetic weapons targeted the enemy vessels with surgical precision. Tungsten rods accelerated to significant fractions of light speed punched through Korthak shields that were designed to disperse energy attacks, not absorb kinetic impacts. All ships, execute Formation Delta, Morrison commanded. The human fleet scattered in what appeared to be random directions, abandoning any recognizable tactical formation. Korthak commanders, trained in conventional military doctrine, struggled to predict the humans' next move as Earthships seemed to operate according to no established strategic principles. Your tactics are chaotic, Krath snarled over the communication channel. This is not warfare, it is madness. Exactly, Morrison replied. Chaos is a tool, General. When you can't match your enemy's strength, you change the nature of the battlefield. The EDS Defiance, one of the smaller human ships, suddenly accelerated directly toward the Korthak inner ring, its engines burning at maximum output. Korthak vessels concentrated their fire on what appeared to be a suicide run, pouring devastating energy into the approaching ship. At the last moment, the Defiance deployed a device that human engineers had developed in secret, a localized gravity bomb. The weapon created a brief but intense gravitational anomaly that scattered the tightly coordinated Korthak inner formation, sending their most powerful ships tumbling out of position. Now, Morrison shouted. The scattered human fleet suddenly converged on the disrupted inner ring from multiple vectors, their weapons targeting the briefly vulnerable Korthak reality distortion ships. 6 of the enemy's most powerful vessels exploded in brilliant flashes as human kinetic weapons found their marks. General Krath's image flickered with electronic interference as his flagship shook under the impact of human attacks. This is impossible. Your species achieved interstellar flight only 2 decades ago. You cannot possess this level of tactical sophistication. You're right, we don't, Morrison admitted. What we have is something better. Desperation, creativity, and a complete willingness to ignore every rule of engagement that everyone else considers sacred. The battle continued for 3 more hours, but the outcome was no longer in doubt. Human ships darted through the Korthak formation like wolves hunting a herd, their unpredictable movements and unconventional tactics slowly dismantling the enemy's numerical advantage. when Korthak commanders attempted to reform their perfect spherical formation. Human gravity bombs disrupted their coordination. When they adapted to kinetic weapons, human ships deployed experimental plasma cannons that operated on principles the Korthak had never encountered. As the last Korthak vessel either fled or fell silent, Morrison opened communication channels to Lumina Prime. Ambassador Lyrian Voss appeared on screen, her crystalline form now pulsing with brilliant patterns of joy and gratitude. Captain Morrison, you have saved our entire civilization. How can the ethereal collective ever repay this debt? Morrison looked out at the debris field that had once been an overwhelming enemy fleet, then at his own ships, battered but victorious. No payment necessary, Ambassador, but I have a suggestion for the future. Anything. Next time the Galactic Council tells you that someone can't be helped because the odds are impossible, remember this day. Sometimes the best way to deal with impossible odds is to find someone who's too stubborn to believe in them. As rescue ships began evacuating ethereal civilians from their damaged cities, news of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy through quantum communication networks. In the council chambers, representatives who had dismissed Earth as irrelevant now watched tactical recordings of the battle with newfound respect and concern. The age of human irrelevance in galactic affairs had ended in the space above Lumina Prime. What began as a rescue mission had become something far more significant, proof that the galaxy's newest members were unlike any species that had come before them. In the depths of space, Captain Jake Morrison stood on his bridge and looked out at the stars, knowing that humanity had just announced its presence to the galaxy in a way that no one would ever forget.